Well, hello everyone. Here to show you the playground city coloring activity right here. As you see right here is I went ahead and drew right here is a picture right here. I say an example right here of a playground it is. And with most of us whenever we were kids it's basically talking about with the technology it is. Like basically based on computers it is. And back whenever I was in school, say back in 1994, it was I can remember that I always wondered. I think that they mainly use computers. It's like you use a scientific type stuff like computers for like what you call is like for like the Space Association or anything like that for NASA. It was, and then of course that they used it for like for medical labs. I guess that they used it for like the in the medical labs. And if most of us remember back in like 1960, 1962 it was that the computers were about this large. It was that I heard that they would take up say an entire classroom. It was, and I remember that's what the teacher told me, and which I would think that back then that computers were about that big. It is, and anybody more likely think about they really were not considered toys at the time. To everybody, I guess to some people that like they were pretty nice to experiment around with. Kind of look like you say big file cabinets. It is you got right here is a few computers lined up. It is, but basically talking about right here for Playground City, it is if you got like we say big computers, and then knowing about like the how small that of course that they gotten it is. And just knowing about the type of technology it is, it's like talk about as a study with the technology. And anybody more likely to think about it's like with me, like with homework, it is knowing about whenever you go shopping and go out and buy something, or if you see something advertised, it is, or if you were told that well you gotta buy this or buy that, it is. And knowing about nowadays with mobile amps, it's like I guess they call them amps. It's like so far with APPS for amps. It is mobile amps that these applications. I guess they're called applications to where that if you were to do something, say apply for a job online, or it is application, and basically they're I guess middleware, programs, of course, free programs you can have available on your smartphone or something like that. But such and such. But anyway, but basically this color activity basically talks about is like with technology. Anybody would probably think about between a playground and of course with technology, what it's like doing. Does that mean what does that have anything to do with the playground? Well, good question. I guess my explanation will be like that. Some people more likely think about that. If they want to spend all day on it, more likely it may not seem like that. Anything that you learned, of course, on the playground whenever you were in school is like learning how to, learning how to pass the ball and learn how to clap hands and learn how to talk, and of course, learning how to run around and jump rope around, go down on a slide and swing, and then of course learn to play tetherball and kickball and stuff and like that. And knowing about a lot of times, anybody probably think about with most of my teachers is like a lot of times during the recess time it was like that be interactive of course with your kids and stuff. And the way I think about it is like that back in the early 1900s that did not have all that stuff such as say Apple iPhones and iPods and stuff like that. And anybody can more likely think about it that what did you have? Well, more likely be something familiar with that may not be familiar with them. It's like knowing about that that if you had like an 8-track or record player or anything like that something that you used or you play with back in like the early 1970s. It was early 1960s and say 1970s it was. And knowing about that with technology it is, that knowing about that with advanced technology and growing technology it is. And we could probably think about that with like a playground, that knowing about back then that it used to be only used for that one purpose it was. And more likely you might probably think about it still is. it's still only used for that one purpose, because whenever you buy stuff, and then there's like what you call like a terms of use, for what you can use it for. But right here, you got right here is tunnel ball. But back when I guess you could say that the type of playground, if we were to get like on a mobile phone, or if it's like anything the size of a calculator, about that right there, and just knowing about, you get connected to, say, the networking, it is the type of technology that they have nowadays, is basically, it's like you say, for playground, playground city, it's knowing about that you're basically, it's like, treat it like if you were actually get on the swing and jump around, you say go down the slide a couple of times and hang around with your friends and stuff like that, be interactive. And anybody more I could think about, it's like you think about, it's like, for the Reese's peanut butter cup, it's like knowing about, anybody would probably think about, between, remember asked that, it's like, what's the difference between the candy bar and of course, the activity at school was between recess and a recess. But other than that, like right here is for recess, and then of course with recess. But right here, so you have right here for recess. But anyway, besides recess and besides going to the park, it basically, we could probably think about, the type of playground that more likely that we could think about. It's like for kids, it is knowing about that they get on like what you call like an Xbox or a PlayStation 4, and just knowing about that really, are they doing their homework whenever they're getting on these toys and stuff like that. With these toys, I can maybe think about that more likely that there's probably millions of toys out there, that more likely that more likely maybe not every kid, but most kids would like to play with it is. And basically the type of toys that we're talking about, maybe like that are maybe related to computers, it is maybe race cars, model race cars, or anything like that. But the type of things that, of course, that I remember playing on the playground, of course, were like we say using a ball, the balls, like basketballs and soccer balls and stuff like that, and knowing about running around, of course, with your friends, say, on the playground. It is. I think about this like, if there's anything related to like what you call like helping to stick up for yourself towards bullies, it is playground bullies. And of course, with anybody, probably think about anything you can do, I can do better. Like, and I can do anything better than you. And I can still remember that song. But on the other hand, too, knowing about that, whenever I was in school, a lot of times I think about is like that a lot, quite a few of the kids used to always wonder. I'm like that, wasn't really talking to too many people there at the time either, and just kept to myself most of the time. And then the teachers were often be like, you need to play around, be interactive with all the other class kids, with all the other kids. And then a couple times the teacher would be out there on the playground and then say that, hey, go play Foursquare with those kids. It's like, go play Foursquare. Hey, you want to play? And I remember that the teacher helped me get on a team on a play competition. It is for like a game of Foursquare. And of course, did not even have I remember did not even have knockout. It was, and all the other games that they had, they say, or tag or anything like that on the playground. But I remember that they had basketball, and they had tetherball, and of course kickball. Had kickball, and then on your hand too, that knowing about the types of things, of course, that you like playing around with. But I remember that a lot of times it was like on the playground that they a few times that they would not even allow you to bring like what you call like a Game Boy, a Game Boy or anything electronically, out on the playground. It was, and I think they even asked, at times, why do you have that whenever you should be interactive with all the other kids? It is, maybe swing for a few minutes and then maybe go down the slide a couple of times. But on the other hand, too, the way I think about, I'm like that, the types of things that more likely that you have nowadays is basically talking about it so far with learning and of course enjoying them. It is. And the way I think about it, I really think that maybe that there should be rules about, maybe not for everything, but rules about for like playground rules, or recess time is basically talking about like for the playground is that knowing about that don't overuse the minutes, and then of course is like knowing about that that if there's like any type of device they teach you on it, more likely that there's going to be a time to where try and teach that person to where that they cannot be on it all day, that they got to think about other things that they got to do around the house, such as concentrate on homework and of course it's like a schoolwork, the schoolwork and then chores around the house, and nowadays with like the Xbox and of course the PlayStation 4, getting on live and playing with other kids and stuff, online games and stuff, and anybody could probably think about that. That yeah, we can maybe think it's all about making the money, but on the other hand too, that knowing about is like it's really about knowing about the types of experiences. Say it's like we get about whenever we get on live is knowing about it's pretty cool because you can actually buy things on there. You could actually play with other players. Instead of having the person over here at the house and like for Guitar Hero, that we can actually play Guitar Hero on like which is the Xbox or something like that, and knowing about that the friends that you make in school is that knowing about back like in the old days that you would have them over, and then I know with the TVs and stuff like that they had back then that you had like I say notebook kind of like this right here, maybe a little bit smaller. Back in the 1960s, I really would not exactly know about what the notebooks and stuff looked like back then, but maybe more likely it was on paper, but you have right here is the trees. And anybody can maybe think about if you want to have like a screensaver, if you want to have like what say is that the purple note, or if it's the screensaver of like what you call is like these trees in the background. It is where you can change the look. It's like between spring, summer, and of course the fall type look. With the fall type look that you got right here is maybe a few say redness in the trees and stuff, but have like a screensaver right here, a few trees, and knowing about if you want to draw the sky it is, but basically that talking about we say brain waves or whatever it is knowing about really is the world all about the fact about really what we can do, or is it all the fact about that well if you pay for it you can have it. But other than that, we can all probably think about is like what the answer is, knowing about that what the answer is knowing about for use your time wisely, is knowing about is talking about is like what the studies it is basically is that as long as you say is like for for our time being, for our time being is knowing about that yeah, if you're able to get say your chores as like so far as the job for what you call is like that I don't know if I'm going to use the word done, because more likely probably think about that after you get something done, and that's another thing. But so far as you say objective, for adjective, I guess you go ahead and use the word adjective. For like what you call the priorities of knowing about what you gotta do. It's like so far as I don't know if there's a way that maybe you can play pool, if you can play dodgeball or anything like that online. But on the other hand too, to talk about what the playground it is being being interactive with all the other kids, and then knowing about anybody would probably think about that. Yeah, back in the old days, of course, that you would able to, we say is like do like what you call is like put a smiley face right there, and maybe do like what you call is like a sound effect. It's like, oh, well, you got an A, you got an A on your spelling test. It was like a woo woo. But other than that, like so far as A or A plus, or if it's a B plus, it is woo woo. But other than that, like but other than that, like talking about right there, as you have right there, is like for the smiley face right there, like I may have said it many a times it was, but one thing more likely I don't think I have said many a times, of course, is knowing about that if you come home with that grade report it is, then more likely that knowing about that who knows, who knows that you're trying in school, because knowing about spending too much time in that little playground area of yours is like knowing about that yeah, you are too busy reading comics, you are too busy paddling on the drumstick, or you are too busy with your Guitar Hero. Like an But other than that, like I talk about right here is like to say the playground is an example right here of a playground, and anybody more likely to think about besides a museum is knowing about if there's like what you call like I don't know if I'm exaggerating, but if there's like any type of a pond or a lake to where that like a little fountain area right back in here it is. So far as 50 years of studying about technology it is knowing about if they're going to have like anything related to like what you call like a little something on the playground it is, maybe something online to where that you could have some practice fishing lessons or anything like that, you say in the back of the playground area. But anyway, the playground part is like you got right there is 4 square, and of course with basketball, and of course it's like anybody probably thinking about like and like knowing about the number of ideas that count. But we could probably think about that use our mind in the time being is knowing about that so far as getting to know each classmate it is so far as with Playground City is basically knowing about that hey that I got this smartwatch. I got this smartwatch for my birthday, or I got this smartwatch. Check it out with it can glow in the dark. It can glow in the dark. I got this calculator right here. I got this calculator with the little, the little roboto, flashlight, the flash peaking, search bar on the top or whatever you call it, and with the solar powered charger, and of course with the flip screen, and all, check this out. Like we could do our math homework with this, other than that, like talking about right here, and check this out. That this can do, that this mark, that this can do, like you say, turn this invisible. Turn this, you can actually you can do cha-cha, or you can do cha-cha-cha. But other than that, like talking about right here is talking about for Playground City it is knowing about different things that more like you can discover, and of course the different things that is like knowing about you to invent it is really about the whole meaning about the words say for Playground City it is. It's basically knowing about that whatever it is knowing about that is like, well, I sure darn you better know about that you better be doing your schoolwork, coming home with a good grade, because on the other hand too knowing about that, yep, well, if you don't, then more likely that I may get grounded for a week or whichever it is, or I may have to run an errand, or I may not be able to have my slumber party tonight or anything like that. I may not be able to have like what you call like my iPhone 5 or anything like that. But on your hand too, but that like talking about right here is between the phone calls, and of course with say the advanced battery pack it is. I don't know, I can maybe go on about that too. But basically the point is that knowing about that we could probably thinking about that the types of toys of course that we've had of course in the past, and the types of toys that we have now, is to understand about the way I think about it is that if we're going to have our children, of course, playing around with them and of course using them, is to know about that something that's going to keep them entertained for hours, maybe days or maybe a year or two, is knowing about is to take good care of it, because knowing about how much money it costs is know about, it's like talk about his responsibilities, is knowing about the things that you would really need to know about. That you had your time, of course, on that little jumping bed. It's like talking about, it's like between the little monkeys jumping on the bed, and one falls off and bumps his head, and the mama called the doctor, and the doctor said put those monkeys in the back to bed. And that like talking about right here is like jumping on the bed, or the tam, the jumper ring or anything like that. It's like a jump around, jump around. But other than that, like talking about right here, you got right there is the playground, and then right here and cha cha, like the cha cha. But other than that, like talk about right here is like it's like playground. It's like talk about it's like type of recess time that more likely probably think about. Besides, it's like back in the old days is like knowing about the type of a playground city it is basically like knowing about that the one way we can get to know each other. Hey, let's get on Facebook. Let's get on Twitter. Let's get on YouTube and like like this is the science project. Like this is talking about it's like the study, let's say of Earth. It's like what you call like the expo. Like for the American Indians or anything like that related to the Egyptian tombs or anything like that. But talking about right here is talking about for Playground City. It's talking about anything what you calls like hey, but I'm a big kid liquid. I can do. Yeah. I can put my socks and shoes on, and so can you. But other than that, like talk about for a Playground City coloring activity.